beautiful people. It's Coach Mike of P&Z, and I'm back again with another episode of Black Business Booming. I'm so excited. I continue to do these, and it's been awesome. Been an amazing journey to highlight some Black businesses, no matter where they are in their timeline, just getting started, well-established, 10, 20 years, to just give a platform for that. Of course, in 2020 is very trendy right now, right? Black businesses, buy Black, support Black. But this was a vision of mine that I had last year, even before I started a YouTube page for my business. So I'm just excited. The same thing I say every interview has been people I know and people who are in my circle, whether I met them on social media, and most are like family to me, people I went to school with. So I got another awesome guest today. I'm so excited about this. So sis, just take a moment to introduce yourself. Tell everybody your name and where you're from and any other little information before we dive into it.
Hello, everyone. My name is Shawn Powe. My birth certificate says Shantavia, but I go by Shawn for short. I am originally from Mobile, Alabama. Currently reside in Birmingham for the past 13 or 14 years. I attended the University of Alabama at Birmingham. I have 3 degrees from there and a couple of associates, 2 bachelor's and a master's, and currently working on a doctorate. I am a nurse practitioner, a family nurse practitioner.
Oh my goodness. Sis, you're so smart. Woo! I was about to start sweating because you start naming off all that stuff like, man, educated Black woman. That's what I'm talking about, man. And see, again, when I do intros, every time on these interviews, when people are just going through their information, I'm always shocked because although, again, I'm connected with everybody I've had on so far, I hear their story and all this stuff, and it's like, man, this is amazing. And so I will say what I say every interview. I don't need anyone to tell me what Black people are or are not doing, because I say, listen, I know what my circle's doing. So you can't, I know doctors, lawyers, teachers, educators, entrepreneurs of all genres, of any type. So that is so amazing. So yeah, go Blazers, by the way, UAB in the house. So since I want you to tell everybody what your business is, when you started it, and kind of what inspired you to do so.
Okay. So my business is called eCure. The name is eCure. I am a telemedicine house called Urgent Care. My tagline is bringing urgent care to you, literally, through your cell phone, computer, tablet, or I'll come to your house. This has been a vision to start my own practice for about 10 years or so. It just happened to happen this year. I officially started in April of this year. So I'm a kind of a startup business. I have had some clients thus far, which has been great. So inspiration for my business, a couple different things. One is I work in the ER as well. I work in the ER as well. And so I see a lot of people that come through the ER. And sometimes people who have these minor things going on, they sit in the waiting room for hours just for me to treat them in 10 minutes. And if I can do that quicker by coming to you through your tablet, it saves people time, it saves money, because ER bills tend to be thousands and thousands of dollars, more so for those without insurance. So that was one thing that inspired me to help people not collect so much debt and coming to the ER, especially those with no insurance. Another is I wanted to I don't know how to put this in words, have more, for there to be a provider that looked like me. There are not many providers that look like me. If you look at the statistics, there are about 56% of providers are white. Only about 5% are African American, if you look at the latest statistics. And so I wanted for there to be more individuals that look like me that took care of people. That is one. And then for uninsured people, I wanted individuals who didn't have insurance for whatever reason to be able to get health care at a cheaper price, cheaper and affordable Mike, I am rambling on.
No, that's fine. And I love it because that's amazing. Like your inspiration, when you talk about inspiration, is stuff where you really see a need, probably based off experience, different things. And when you said that, I was like, oh my goodness, that resonated with me so much. So 3 years ago when I had my accident, you know, it, I don't remember seeing anyone that looked like me. Like you said, that representation, we always hear, right? Representation matters.
Right.
So I don't remember, in the at-home nurse, at-home therapy until I was able to transport to therapy. There were no Black folks. So that what you're saying is just so amazing, just to, like you say, to be able to fill a void or something. You see, that I think that's the biggest thing with business and going into it, because that's something that is a passion and it makes it worthwhile. And now it makes all the tough times worth it as well, because you are genuinely solving a need. They say it, if you're going to go into business, what problem can you solve, right? Solve a problem, solve a question, answer a question, and then you'll be in business forever. So that's amazing to me. And just congrats on starting that as well, because I know that it'll go far, just because there is such a need for what you do, and just putting your expertise to what you do. That's amazing. So in thinking about starting, I know you mentioned April, right? And kind of just starting out being new. What was one of the most challenging things about getting started, or that day when you said, okay, I'm going to do this, let's go, Shawn? What was one of the more challenging things about starting a business?
One of the more challenging things, I think the biggest thing for a lot of small businesses is capital. Figuring out how you're going to fund this. What are you going to do to
Mm-hmm.
fund this? And so I kind of made up in my mind that, hey, I still have a full-time job, so my full-time job is gonna fund my dream. Um, finding resources to accomplish some of the smaller tasks that needs to be at hand in the formation of the
Yeah.
business. So there's a lot of paperwork, and
Mm-hmm.
there are plenty of people out there that will help you, but it's expensive.
Right.
It's expensive to have people just to fill out paperwork for you. So I think those were the two biggest things: the capital, and actually finding the resources that I could afford to pay for to start this.
Yeah, definitely. And that's huge, because when you're starting out, you have that passion, right? And what we talked about, you're doing something that is you see a void and you're doing, it's like, okay, I'm going to do this. And then everything started piling up, be like, oh, okay, I got to do this in this form and that form. And, the legalities. And I always tell people, do all that stuff on the front end, so it's not chasing you down the road. So that definitely is. I definitely can agree with that. In being not in an old business, a new business myself, with the coaching. So, and now starting, right? So now you're going and you got through some of those initial challenges. What are some of the day-to-day challenges? And not only just your business, but in being an entrepreneur, what are some of those day-to-day challenges that you face?
Time management is a big one.
Mm.
Um, Trying to get you're everybody. You're the HR person. You're doing the you're doing the finances. I'm doing the inventory. I'm also still seeing patients. Like, I'm
Mm.
the provider. Like, you're everything. Trying to find time to fit everything in, get those checklists off. And the biggest thing that you really need to get done is those tasks that are going to bring in cash flow, because you need
Mm-hmm.
cash flow to run your business. So that's something that I'm struggling with. As I sit here now, I'm still struggling with trying to learn how to manage my time and take care of those bigger tasks, as well as continue to work a full-time job, continue to run a household. It can be a little overwhelming at times. That to-do list gets overwhelming at times.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's a beautiful thing just in that answer, because a big part of that is just being real where you are. If you can't first see where you are, how can you know where you want to get to or where you're going? So in starting out, a lot of people, they want to hit the ground and kind of put up that facade of, yes, I'm this, I'm that, but okay, just be real with yourself. you know, because I think that goes a long way. So even saying that, I think, everything you said so far is also advice, just seeing that. And that's the biggest one that I take away from that answer. It's just be real with where you are right now. Because you'll get there and things will grow, but it's about knowing every step and just enjoying that process. We hear that term, right? Trust the process.
Right.
But enjoying that process. And so in contrast to that, the challenges that you face, what are the more satisfying things about now starting your business, something that you probably thought about for a while, and being an entrepreneur, what's those satisfying parts of that?
My patients, the patients that I've had thus far, they were so relieved and so happy that I can fix such a big problem to them in such a short time. It took me 10 minutes. We did a phone call. I had my patient 2 days ago. It took 10 minutes. She just needed a refill on something. She's like, I can't see my doctor until October the 18th, and I ran out of my medication. And she's like, you saved me from this medicine. I've been on this medication for 2 years, and now I can't get in with my primary doctor for another 6 weeks. And it took us 10 minutes to fix the problem.
Wow.
I enjoy being able to fix something and make people happy. And it's easy for me, and it's exciting.
Yeah, that's awesome.
Being able to help somebody with a problem that's big for them, but I can fix it in a short amount of time.
Yeah. And I think that goes back to, following following your knowledge, your experience, and what you're passionate about. Because in saying that, saying that it's easy.
Yeah.
If you take I don't know, if you take a speaker and they do, wait, your job is easy. Wait, how did you? So I think that's another big part of it too, because again, you're following your heart and what you know and what you're passionate about. So it is easy. It's one of those things where I know it's cliche, but it's so true. If you find what you're passionate about, you'll never work a day in your life. And so that's that again, that's huge. And I love the fact that you said that. And now thinking about the challenges and everything, from day to day, being a business owner, being an entrepreneur, and all the other hats that we wear, right, as entrepreneurs, especially small business. Like you said, we're the CEO, the manager, HR, the social media manager.
All the things.
All the things, right? So any advice for someone who's watching this and saying, okay, this is amazing. An educated young Black woman doing all this she's accomplished, and now she's starting a business. What is the advice that you would give to that young Black man, that young Black woman who wants to start a business, or for those who have been in business, but just advice about being an entrepreneur and getting into business? What's some advice that you could give?
Plan it out, write it down. Those small achievements, be happy for the small achievements that you may have for that day. Don't be so hard on yourself. I'm so hard on myself. I'm horribly hard on myself. Don't be so hard on yourself. One day at a time. You can do this. Consistency. Small achievements and consistency is a big thing. Sometimes I forget to look at the small wins as a win. Okay, I replied to email. I replied to these emails that have been piling up. That's a win. That's something that I've accomplished for today. And just plan it out. Do your research. One, you can't do everything. You cannot do it all. So eventually, you will have to source out some things. You will have to get some help. One-man show, you can't always be a one-man show. We start out that way, but eventually we will have to hire on and get help for certain things. And don't be afraid to ask for help. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask for help. Look for resources.
Yeah, that's huge. And part of that planning out, when we get to that step where we have to source out and we have to get help, that's part of that planning too. What does that look like? What does that look like if I hire an HR person? What does it look like if I hire a social media manager and all of that? So it's not going into things blindly. So I think that's huge. And like you said, one thing that is huge for me and that resonates with me. And it's a process that I take all my clients through is celebrating the small things. Like you say, a lot of times we don't stop to do it, just stop to take a breath because we have all these things on our task list and
Right.
checking them off. But I say, it's a pat on the back. Every time you check something off, something simple,
Right.
pat yourself on the back, physically. So I think that's awesome. So now what's next for eCure? What's next? What's on the horizon? What's the GPS for eCure?
So I have not officially started my house calls portion of my business. So that is the very next thing up. Is starting my house calls where I will come to your home and treat you for minor urgent care type illnesses. It's, for instance, if you're cooking and you cut your finger, if it's in the area, I don't feel like you need an X-ray or anything, I'll clean it out and put some sutures in and write it, on your couch.
Wow.
That I'm ready. That it is what's coming up next for the Birmingham area. The telemedicine portion is throughout the state of Alabama already. After I get the house call started, I do want to begin to hire other providers throughout the state so that I can get house calls throughout the entire state. And eventually I will source out to other states.
That's
Um,
awesome.
so that's what's next for eCure.
Wow, that's huge, man. And just this business idea and this concept is just so amazing because anybody who's, it's one of those things where you're not thinking about it when you don't need it, or
Right.
if you've never been in that situation. But like I say again, for someone who's been through the whole gambit of healthcare with different issues, man, just hearing that is amazing. Like, wow, like man, 3 years ago, eCure would have been dope and timely for me. So I think that's awesome. And just again, like it goes back to what you talk about with planning and just seeing that forecast of where you want to take the business. I think that is so awesome, man. That just got me excited. So,
It's good for those working professionals like you whose schedule is full. Let's say you wake up one morning, your throat is sore, and you've got a schedule full of things to do. Hey, hop on a video call with me. Let's fix
right.
that sore throat. And it works for so many different people. That retired person who's 60, 65, 70, who can't get in with their primary doctor, who needs me to come by their house and do something. It works for a lot of different people in a lot of different situations.
Yeah. And I think it's so amazing that, 2020, this is where eCure is just booming now because Lord knows we all need it now, right? And it's such a need for that. Like I say, it's almost like a void being filled. So that is so awesome. So Shawn, anything else that you want the people to know? Any kind of information on eCure, or anything you want to leave the people with? Also, how they can contact you and find out more about eCure.
So what's going on right now is I'm offering my video calls, urgent care video calls, for $29, which is very reasonable, I think. Like I said, the house calls have not started yet. My social media handles or Instagram is eCure underscore urgent underscore care. Same thing on Facebook. That's where you can find me. The website is not completely done yet. But the link to book an appointment is on my social medias, Instagram and Facebook, where you can book in the bio on Instagram, and there's a book now on Facebook. I think that's it, Mike.
That's so awesome, man. Look, I am so excited. I tell people constantly when I'm doing these interviews that it gives me more fuel and drive. And I've said it a couple of times on interviews. I go back and watch these because it's like, it's like study for me as well, to just pick up all these jewels and gems from all of these different entrepreneurs and so many different facets of entrepreneurship, from artists to educators to the health and medical professions, all these things. And so it's been really awesome. Says, I thank you so much for doing this. Thank you for your time. I really appreciate you for this. This is awesome. Again, it's always exciting to have people that I know on this platform.
I want to thank you as well. You know, this is my first interview. Very nervous, but you're allowing me to improve my interviewing skills, and I really appreciate it. I couldn't do it with a better person. With good, you have wonderful energy, and I couldn't do it with a better person.
Thank you so much. I want to remind everybody, of course, I will put all the information for eCure in the description below. Also, like, subscribe, comment, share, tell somebody, tell a friend, tell your friend's friend, tell your mama them. Thank you so much, sis. I appreciate you. And we will see you all next time on another episode of Black Business Booming. Peace.